not be having something impact on your business development acumen, but definitely it is going to help you to have a better personality or for personal development because you will understand why a particular discipline or why particular management strategy is considered as ideal in Indian scenario. So Indian ethos and management is about our tradition. It is about our culture. It is about what are our ethics, what are our morals. So maybe many a time ethics, morals, principles, values, attitude. We use so many words, but we never realize its a real meaning or its importance. Okay, its importance in our life. So here we are going to discuss these terms in detail, understand its core meaning, understand its utility in day-to-day life, in management life, whether you are employee or your employee. So let's start a new subject for Indian ethos and management. Okay. So before we start Indian ethos and management, we have to understand the basic definitions of Indian ethos and management. The Indian ethos is a word which we need to decipher before we move to subject. So ethics and ethos both are comparatively similar. Okay. So what is ethics? Many a time we think ethics is the ideal process. Okay. Someone tomorrow says that it's supposed to be an interactive session because ethics is not something you can taught or teach. Okay. Ethics is something which we supposed to understand or inculcate. And to inculcate that, we need to go for some kind of brainstorming or some questions, which help you or which help you to understand what is the real meaning of the words. Okay, some practical examples, some case studies. But it's okay. We even try here to understand what is the meaning of the words. Okay, if tomorrow someone says, it is good to have a liquor once in a week, maybe somebody is having that. Is it ethical or it is not ethical? First question. Okay, it is the person who is uh, a lively person who is in a fully control of his own thought process. Okay, that cannot be unethical. Okay, that cannot be unethical. You cannot force somebody to do this or do that. Okay, in fact, that is unethical. Okay, if somebody tomorrow a girl or a boy opt for intercaste marriage and family members are not there, their family members are not there, they are getting hurt because of this particular act, then who is the responsible for it? Like, is it the ethical way or not? Because our legal procedure gives a complete freedom to men, boy and girl to marry to whom they love or whatever, like to whom they want to marry. It's completely a freedom. There is a freedom of choice. Okay, provided they are 18 plus. So is it ethical or not? Okay, if you have seen the Satya movie, it was acted by Vivek Oberoi and Sunny Mukherjee. In that particular movie, like, when we see movie or when we go to that movie, we have a complete picture that love is very okay, ultimately love is that's all okay. But in between, they have shown one particular fact which is normally neglected by most of the people, and that particular fact is in that particular movie after Rani Mukherjee opt for a marriage with someone to whom his father has rejected or slapped him. So she goes with that guy, and ultimately his father, like ultimately when her mother meets him in a train, she says, after you went, your father's health got deteriorated, and ultimately he succumbed to death. So that particular was it ethical or not? So there are so many things, there are so many practical implications we face in our day-to-day life. Okay, for like let's take another case study. It is very famous case study. Suppose you are a train driver. Suppose you are a train driver and you have complete control on train. Okay, there are two paths. There are two paths, path A and path B. Or there are two railways, railway A and railway B. And you can decide like whichever way you want to go. As per your pre-decided schedule, you're supposed to go by route A or path rail A. Okay, railway line A. But you have find suddenly just few minutes before you actually decide whether to go for A or B. You have seen there are four boys, there are four children who are playing on railway line A. where every day rail passes at this particular time. There are four children who are playing, and suddenly you thought of changing a track to B, but you realize track B is actually abandoned. It is working. It is working. It is like completely safe to go from track B, but because of some reason it is abandoned or it is not in use, and there one children is playing. Okay, and you have to take a decision between either A or B. There is no other option. Okay, I will put break or something like. There is no option. So obviously, like even in our group, like those who are attending this lecture, maybe if we discuss or if we try to understand what you think, maybe people will have a different answer. Somebody will say, "Next, sir, I will go with path B." Why you will go with path B? Because you will go with path B because you think there are four children who are playing on track A. There are four children who are playing on track A. So if I go with the B, only one child will be obviously every child is important, but at least I will say another four child. If I go with track A, like there are some people who will say, no, sir, I will go with track A. Why I will go with track A? Because that one person who is or that one children who is playing on track B is the innocent person, or that person is playing on a abandoned track where he knows, or maybe he is aware that it is completely safe to play there, or their parents have allowed the person to play there because it is considered as completely safe. So I will go with the track A because it is not worth to kill one innocent person for the people or for the parents those who are allowing their children to play on railway track. Okay, so obviously it's their mistake. It's not a mistake of somebody else. So they will suffer. So there are various ends and means. Okay. Even in our life, we always have choice between two things. That is means and end. Either you can have a right mean or you can have a right end. If you want both the things, then you require a lot of calculation behind your decision. Okay. So always there is a struggle between means and end. Suppose here in the same case study, we have seen the railway case study. So what is the mean? Maybe duty bound. My duty is to go by track A, so I will go by track A. Okay. Or you will see like right mean is to save four lives instead of saving one life. Okay. So but end is what? End will always guide you to save for maximization of happiness. Okay, maximization of happiness. So what you will say, sir, irrespective of whatever situation is there, whatever like innocent person and everything is okay, but I have to save four lives because that gives a maximization of happiness. Okay, if I kill one child, it's okay. One parent will be unhappy, but here there are four children, there are four parents who will suffer from this. So this is always there is always a struggle between means and end. Okay, let's take another example from our history. During Chauri Chora, like NCA movement was there, non-cooperation movement, which is started by Gandhiji, okay, in 1990, and there were a complete a surety among people that if we continue to follow this path or this non-cooperation movement for some more time, definitely Britishers are going to run from India, or we are going to get a freedom. Okay, and all the people like those ones of our Gandhiji were also in support of that. Like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, they were always saying we have to continue this movement. Okay, we have to continue. But suddenly there was one incident, one small town called Chauri Chora incident of a UP. Okay, where some angry people or some violent people, set the police station on fire. Okay, police station on fire, and around 20-22 policemen got killed. Okay, and Gandhiji, when Gandhiji came to know about this, it is like immediately announced that we are going to take back our NCA movement. Everybody was shocked. We are about to get a freedom. The movement was going very well. People were so much enthusiastic that everyone was sure that this thing is going to work. And this is happening after so many years of ruling of British. But Gandhiji said, even if we get a freedom, even if we get a freedom by this way, it is going to be a violent country where people will have more trust on weapons than on love and peace, or more on satyagraha. Even today, when some politicians is not happy or people are not happy, what they will go for fast. They will launch some subtitle. They never come with a weapon. In fact, we have people who are there with a weapon, but they are never be supported by common citizens. Normally they are never supported by citizens like Maoists, okay, or Naxalism. They have trust on weapon. So Gandhi said, we want a nation where people have trust on love, peace, communication, okay, satyagraha, and not on a weapon. So if we get a weapon, if we get freedom by this way, then definitely people will have a trust on it because this way they will it will give a success. This wrong example can change our future of our nation. And this is what happened with other nations which got freedom with India, like Afghanistan, Pakistan. Okay, there are so many other countries, African countries. They got freedom with using a weapon, and ultimately, even today, their trust is more on weapon. Whereas India has completely different ethical principles. So we always look for Madhyam Marg of Gautam Buddha. Okay, we have a principle of Mahavir, Mahavir. We have Gandhiji. We have Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and no, even a Muslim Islam is about the peace. So our culture, our definition, our understanding of nation, our relationship is completely different. This is what we mean by our ethos. That is our culture. From where we got all the actions, attitudes. Okay, this is our base, and that is ethos. Even tomorrow, when you have to enter into any business activity, obviously you have certain kind of culture which is pre-learned, or this is your attitude. Okay, even if you go in a profit or a loss, that is okay. Even if you go into loss, that is okay. But we are not going to sell any product which is physical that have impact on users' health. Okay, we never promote a business which is based on some kind of unethical practices like ban on betting. Okay, because betting maybe it's a big business. Betting is a big business. In fact, there was a recommendation. There was a recommendation to make betting a legal procedure. Okay, because anyhow it is going on illegal process irrespective of how much you put an efforts, but it is still there as a reality. So let's make it illegal. But again, the court gave a decision that it is against Indian ethos. Okay, betting can never Mahabharata. Whenever we listen about the Mahabharata, one story always remembers us when five Pandavas came to put their wife on a stake for a game. Okay, and that behavior of Pandavas is criticized by everyone. Okay, because gambling is first of all gambling itself is it's not a or it's unethical. Second thing, putting somebody on a stake without their permission again unethical. So how good or how was that intention of that gaming or whatever learning is there from that Mahamanta. But we always condemn betting. Okay, it's always unethical in India. Okay, whether it's betting in cricket or betting in some other way or lottery system, everything, whichever. Like we have a topic that Swami Vivekananda said, if you are making 1 rupees without work, if you are making 1 rupees without work, that means somebody has worked and he has not received that 1 rupees. Okay, this is our philosophy. So India is endowed with so many philosophies, so many good things like Vedas, our Upanishads, or different culture, different religion. So India is endowed with full of ethos, and we follow those ethos. So ultimately, we will able to understand with the engagement case studies and many examples that what is it. Ethics is something which society says it is right to. Okay. Whenever we have to apply a logic or whenever we have to think which is right and which is wrong, what we do, we apply ethics. According to society, what is right and what is wrong. लोग क्या कहेंगे? What people will say about this. This is ethics. Whenever we think about log kya kahenge, that is actually ethics. Okay, if I'm drinking a liquor, okay, if I'm drinking a liquor, maybe others come to know that this person takes a regular liquor. What will happen? Obviously, they will disrespect me, or they will not uh, support me in any activity whenever we go to them. So this is ethics. Whatever thing people think or society thinks it's a right, that is the right thing. When society says it's the wrong thing, it's wrong. For example, once upon a time, or during Raja was considered as a pious thing. That is something which is given in religion. Okay, it is mentioned in Vedas. That was a belief of people. Okay, so society was completely supporting sati pratha. Okay, so that time sati pratha was considered as ethical. If somebody is not following sati pratha, that means unethical or that is going against society. But going ahead, Raja Ram Mohan Roy proved that it is not written in the Vedas or it is nowhere mentioned in any religious book. It is completely a murder. It is not a religious activity. It is a murder. So obviously society accepted this and now it is ethics or it is ethical way that not promoting somebody for a certain. Okay. So ethics is something which society approves as a right. There is another concept that is moral. Moral is your individual concept where you don't consider about society. Individually, maybe somebody thinks that it's good to booze every day. Okay, that is okay. If you think like taking a liquor once in a Saturday, once in a week, or whatever is your thinking, that is completely right as long as it's your own thinking. But society never approves. Okay, you want to go for intercaste marriage, that is okay from your perspective. It's okay. That is your moral. We are nobody to touch your moral. But yes, ethically, society will always ask you to do certain things and to avoid doing certain things. So this is about ethics and moral. Just to summarize, ethics is it is right or wrong according to society. Moral is right or wrong according to your individual belief or individual concerns. Okay. So this is our ethos. So there are certain principles which we get from a society and how society inculcated this particular ethics because of our history, our tradition, our culture. Okay. So let's see some of the facts related with Indian ethos and their use in management. Or how can you understand the particular act? How it is connected with Indian ethos? There is a definition. The characteristic spirit and belief of community people, which distinguishes one culture from the other. That is ethos of everyone. Indian ethos is drawn from the Vedas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, etc. There are so many things from which we have learned our ethical principles. Before we start, like just come to my mind that is uh, Gandhiji as a management guru. Okay, we never thought Gandhiji is a management guru or something to whom we should follow. Okay, but there is a book, and once you read that book, you will also understand how different principles which we learn in management he has already used. Okay, he has already used it during the Satyagraha or during the different moment of NCM, CDM, different moments whenever he has tried most of the management principles into this action. Okay. Now we have seen ethos and ethics. There is little difference. It's not versus actually. It's little different. Ethics we have said it is about a society expectations. Society expects you should behave in particular way. That is ethics. Ethics means expected standard in terms of your personal and social welfare. It includes honesty, morality, responsibility. See, if everybody starts following honesty, morality, responsibility, ultimately it will lead to larger growth. It will lead to larger achievement of goal. But the moment people start, being a dishonest, immoral, or they will not follow their responsibility, this disease will spread to other people, and ultimately what becomes is, it will not become a fruitful way to live. It will not become a better society. Okay, but ethos is a discipline that examines one's morality or the moral standard of the society. Whether you are following a particular culture or not, whether you are following your culture is moral or not, that will be checked by ethos. Okay, so ethos in simple word it means your culture. तुम्हारी संस्कृति क्या है? माँ बाप ने यही सिखाया है. So this is your ethos. Okay, what you learn from your culture, how you behave, or how you, understand particular thing based on your culture. That is ethos. Okay. Indian ethos in management refers to values and practices that culture of India, Bharatiya Sanskriti, can contribute to service, leadership, and management. That is Indian ethos in management. How do you use your culture towards serving a people, showing your leadership, management? These values and practices are rooted in a Sanatan Dharma, the eternal essence. That is Sanatana is continuous. There is no end to it. Okay, and have been influenced by various standards of Indian philosophy. Okay, Indian philosophy that starts from Gautam Buddha, Mahavir Jain, okay, Gandhiji, Vivekananda, then Ram has a history on it, that has history to it. Okay, so this is use of Indian ethos in management. Okay, we have discussed a Chori Chora case where we have seen what is leadership. Leadership has a long vision. They have seen even if we get a short term benefit from this particular activity, but in long term it is going to make a huge loss. So this is not something we should follow. So this is a leadership quality, which ultimately there are many leaders who are studying this, understanding this. Maybe some activity or some like today you can see there are many ads which has nothing to do with corona, but still they are using corona as a fear factor. Like I don't want to take a name, but it's okay. Okay, there is some garment company, okay, a big garment company, which we are hearing from here so long. They are saying if they are specialized into making suiting and shirting. Okay, they are saying our suiting and shirting is having a capacity or it is capable to ban into your COVID virus. Okay, or COVID virus will not stick to your clothes. So this is something completely unethical practice because I'm sure they don't have any specification or they don't have any lab results to prove their claim. But this is something they are using. Like yesterday, I was watching another ad of Chavanprash. Okay, they were saying that clinically they have seen that somebody who eats Chavanprash or takes Chavanprash regularly, they have a 12 times less chance of getting COVID. Maybe that is true, or I don't know how much sampling or how much test they have done it, how much research they have done it before claiming this. But they know this one claim can increase their self by multiple times because today people are worried about uh, corona and they will do anything. They will do anything to get away from corona. Okay, so this is something. Sometimes you appraise it, sometimes you condemn it. So that decides your culture. That is based on your culture whether you want to take benefits of this thing or you want to serve society in this hard time. So this is about Indian ethos in management. In fact, 7% belongs to Dabur and that is a core Indian FMCG company. But maybe they are right, but I don't know. Somehow I always feel this is not a way to promote them. What is Indian ethos for management? Okay, it means application of principles, okay, which we have got from ancient Upanishad and Gita. The following basic principles are there. Okay, each soul is potential God. That means we consider every human being, irrespective of rich, poor, belong to any caste, belong to any religion. Every person is created by God. In fact, when why we venerate nature, because there are many festivals when we go to Panchakarn and we actually venerate a tree. Okay, I don't know that festival, but we venerate a tree during that. What is Savitri Purnima? That is, I know as far as it's in Maharashtra, but I don't know another place. But I'm sure there must be some or other festival on that particular day we venerate nature. Okay, so this is something where we not only consider human being as human being as a creation of a God, but everything which is there in our nature that is created by God. So how you respect a God? You respect a God by respecting the creation of God. Okay, respect everything like tree, animal, okay, environment, protect everything. If you are protecting everything, that is actually a real way of venerating God or praying a God. It is not about by just chanting some mantras. It's about your action. If you are really venerating or you are really protecting your nature or creation of God, or you are respecting every human being, giving them due respect, that means actually venerating a God or praying a God. Okay, this is our philosophy. That's why India is always considered about environment. Okay, we are always like there are many communities in India which consider tiger as their brother. Okay, if tiger dies in their jungle, what they do actually the similar way, the funeral they do in a similar way what we do for Indian people. Okay, there is Vaishnavas comedy, Salman Khan case. Okay, so he killed a deer. Okay, and in that community they consider deer as their family member. Okay, so this is our culture or this is our ethos that we consider everything which is created Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. Okay, that means entire world is my family. It's not that we are only India centered. Whatever we create, whatever we like, even during pandemic, we have shown to the world that India really believes in the Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. We have given them lots of injection, lots of medications, okay, which was short in world. Okay, and India has provided, even keeping their people at backstage. We have provided to world. Okay, that is called vaccine diplomacy. Even today, we are giving vaccines to so many nations. Okay, why we do this? Because our leadership, our culture shows that holistic approach. Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. Whole world is my family. It's not about only India centric, or it is about my region centric, only about a particular language. Okay, son of soil culture. We don't believe in this. What we believe is whole world is my family. Every human being has a right to get a better services. Equally important subjectivity and objectivity. See, there is always war between subjectivity and objectivity. Objectivity is something where you have objective reality. That means all people can see something in a similar way. That is sub objectivity. Okay, this is fact. Charminar is in Agra. Sorry, Charminar is in Hyderabad. Okay, or Taj Mahal is in Agra. That is fact. Nobody can deny that. But subjectivity is something which everyone has a different opinion about. Okay, whenever you look at sky, you have a different feeling every time. Okay, sky looks like it is a cover, or it is some kind of cover between you and underworld, or maybe you see it's just something else. So it's subjectivities. Everyone has a different opinion about it. Okay, there are some people who says all human beings under circumstances, under particular circumstances, takes similar action. So if you understand the circumstances or action, you will understand that every human being has the same action under a particular circumstances. If you understand that, maybe that will be more easy for us to create a next society or to help society. But it's not that. Many people think it's subjectivity. Every human being is unique. Their circumstances are unique. Their belief system is unique. Their action will also be unique. So you cannot apply one principle fits to all in terms of human being, because they consider human being is a subjective term. Okay. Whereas there are positivists who says no, human being is also can be observed with objective methods. There is an empirical way to understand human being and their actions. Okay, there is a big debate between positivists and non-positivists about subjective and objective. But India gives a similar importance to both subjective and objective. Okay, science, whenever you study physics, chemistry, biology, obviously we consider it as objective. If I push a particular substance of a particular weight with a particular uh, work, then obviously it will travel a particular distance. That is objectivity. We completely agree with that. We never deny what science has proved. Okay, but we also have a score for subjectivity, that every human being has a potential. Every human being is a human. You can achieve anything. You can achieve anything irrespective of wherever you born or whatever resources you have. It depends on your motivation. So we have belief in both the subjects, objectivity and subjectivity. When we go for social sciences like history, when we go for geography, there is a subjectivity. There is a different opinion about history of India itself. Okay. Many a time we have a different opinion by different ideologies. Okay. So we have given equal importance to objective subjects, subjectivity. Okay, karma yoga, obviously selfless work. Okay, in the Western countries we will see a difference between Indian ethos and Western ethos. So when we have a Western ethos, okay, maybe they will promote whatever you are doing, you should promote it, and you should get a benefit of your work, or that is accredited. Okay, but in Indian, like, at least this is in books. I don't know whether people follow it or not. But even in a companies, what you are supposed to do, karam kar dariya mein dal. Don't hope for any kind of fruits. Okay, do your work. If it's something you have done it right, obviously without even promoting it or without asking it, you will get a due respect or due reward for it. Okay, so karma yoga, you just focus on your duty. Don't look at what you are getting from your duty. Automatically there is a god or there is a superpower which or almighty who will give you your due share. Okay, this is our philosophy, because many a time when we do something, we don't realize, or give a preference to we don't give preference to our end, or we don't give preference to our rewards. What we focus is our my duty and I will perform. Okay, let's see whether I will get a particular reward or not. So this is a complete explanation about each soul is a potential God, then a holistic approach. Okay, then equal importance subjective, then objective, then karma program. Okay, components of Indian ethos. Okay, so there are certain components which makes, like, I'm sure these nine benefits are just for the sake of introduction. This is not a complete component. Like India has a huge component. There's a huge number of ethos which actually makes India a unique nation. I'm not just praising India in terms of positivity. I know there are some negative ways too, which works as a hindrance for Indian growth. Like ethos in the sense, okay, whenever we see like women supposed to take care of household work, okay, household work. So that is obviously something which work as a hindrance. Even IMF has recently said if Indian woman, okay, or female labor force of India starts or contributes to start equally what male human force is contributing, then India's GDP can grow by 27%. Okay, so this is something, a miracle which can happen if we give equal chance to our women. But somehow there are some Indian ethos or there are some Indian traditions which always focus on division of labor. That men should take care of outside work or making economic activity, whereas women should take care of a family. Okay, elderly people, child, take care of a kitchen. So this is something which is hindrance to Indian ethos. But yes, now we are looking at the positive ways. So let's discuss some positive ways later on whenever we get opportunity to discuss negative ones, or maybe it's not about Indian ethos. Indian ethos are right. The way we interpret Indian ethos, the way we interpret in our benefit, that actually leads to negative effects of it. Actually, we have seen Parvati, or we have seen there are many women in historical Durga, or woman is given as a status of goddess. Okay, and sometimes she has killed. That means she was participated in war. Okay, she was participated in many economic activities. But again, the way we interpret our history, that decides our intelligence. Okay, because there is no book or there is not something which gives you a ready-made analysis. You have to read it and you have to analyze the facts from it. Ramayana has more than 400 versions. Okay, even in some Ramayana, okay, Sita is shown as Ravan's daughter. Okay, and he wanted her daughter not to marry with Rama. So that is a different story. Even in the Mahabharata, sometimes Shakuni Mama is shown as actually a hero of Mahabharata. Okay, because Pandava's father killed Shakuni Mama's father and they destroyed his family. That's why his father, when his father was dying, he made some kind of that game from his bone, and he given to Shakuni Mama and said, "Okay, whenever you want this particular game, will play according to your will." So obviously he came back and he did all the things just to take a revenge from Pandava. So there are different versions of Mahabharata, Ramayana. Okay, like that depends on how you interpret your scriptures, your culture. So let's go for Indian belief. Okay, components of Indian ethos, that is Indian beliefs. Ego sublimation rather than ego assertion. Okay, so ego is a self. So whenever there is a conflict between self and society, obviously you have to sublimate or you have to sacrifice your ego. Okay, that means you should become one with the society rather than showing your different identity. Okay, ego assert nahi karna. You don't have to show your ego. What you have to do, you have to just supplement your ego in a benefit of society. Okay, ठीक है, मेरा बुरा हो रहा है, that is not an issue, but as long as it is benefiting society, I'm okay to sacrifice my ego, or I'm ready to sacrifice my own benefits for the sake of society. This is what we see when a soldier goes to a border. Okay, so what they do, they sacrifice their life for society. So this happens because this is there in our beliefs. This is our core belief. Okay, you should always be ready to die for your mother, or that is mother nation. Sacrificing spirit rather than fighting spirit. So obviously we have a sacrificing spirit. Okay, if there is a quarrel or there is a fighting, obviously what we do, we will sacrifice the spirit, okay, rather than fighting. So what we do, it's okay, I will take a back seat, you are a great, okay, I say sorry. So this is sacrifice spirit. Because the more we get into quarrel, obviously that will deteriorate our relationship. So better sometime we decide not to better to accept a loss during this quarrel or during this verbal communication. So this is our basic understanding about we give more importance to relationship rather than winning that particular quarrel. Okay, so this is our spirit. We preserve or we preserve relationship more than assets or property or the materialistic property. We gives more importance to a relationship. Okay, team achievement rather than individual achievement. Obviously, whatever we do in our company or individual life, we always try to ensure that everybody should contribute and everybody should win together, rather than only looking for individual winning. And because individual winning again believes on win-loss principle, okay, or zero-sum game. Zero-sum game in the sense only one person can win. Okay, if one person wins, obviously other person has to lose. This is zero-sum game. But team achievement, we believe in everybody can win. Okay, if everybody gives efforts, if everybody working in a harmony, obviously everyone can win. So this is our basic understanding. That's why we give more focus on team achievement. So most of the time, whenever you enter into a company, most of the time you will get to work into a team. Okay, and whatever you do, or if your team achieves something, obviously everybody will get a praise. It's not only the boss will get a praise. So this is what we call a team achievement rather than individual achievement. Spiritual attainment rather than material prosperity. Okay, spiritual attainment and material prosperity, we give lesser importance to money, okay, or assets or physical. Rather, we give more importance to spiritual attainment. That is a mental peace. That is internal peace. Okay, maybe somebody is making a lesser money, or maybe somebody is not as rich as others are there. But still, what we try to see, we want to satisfy our mind, or we want to be happy. जो मेरे नसीब में लिखा है वो है मेरे पास. Okay, what is that is written in my faith, or this is written in my life that I am getting, or what I deserve, I have that. Okay, I'm not desiring something which others have. I'm desiring something which I deserve. Okay, this is the spiritual attainment. This is how you satisfy, or this is how you pacify your mind. You never get into unnecessary competition. Okay, irrespective of whatever may I make a money, but I will ensure that I will achieve, or I will lead to that success. No, we never believe that. We always believe that whatever we have, I will satisfy. Or maybe it's our past karma, or maybe it's our destiny. That's why we are poor or rich. Or even somebody being a poor, it's not a crime. Okay, we think as long as you are able to make your bed and better, that's okay. You are able to feed your family, that's okay. You don't have to be, everyone doesn't have to be rich. Even 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 some people who are not rich, but they are at happy, they are happy, or they are at a work-life balance. That's fully accepted. Okay, so this is, we never compete with our boss, or we never compete with our seniors. What we think, everyone has a different role to play. So that is what we mean by spiritual attainment. Why world is moving towards India? Because they have realized, or why people are moving towards yoga, meditation. Okay, because they have realized Gautam Buddha's principle, which taught to the world the importance of meditation. Okay, importance of meditation, which we taught to the world, like China, Japan, Vietnam. There are many countries who got benefited by our spiritual learnings. Okay, there are major five religions which has emergence in India: Buddhism, Hinduism. Okay, there are five major religions of the world which has their emergence, or their roots from India. So this is a gift of India towards. Even today, a yoga day. Yoga day is celebrated throughout the world. People have realized the importance of mental peace, or mental exercise. It is not only about a physical exercise or six pack. It is also about a mental peace. That is what we call spiritual attainment. Okay, self control rather than outside control. Obviously, you should be controlled by yourself. You should not be controlled by somebody else. Okay, this is another belief. And how can we ensure that you are self control? When you are completely in control of your emotions, when you are completely in control of your senses. If something else is controlling you, then definitely you will lose control on your own self. And there is a high chances that you will get into unethical actions. So if your conscience is there, if your conscience is controlling you, obviously you will never go into any kind of wrong activity. Like example, suppose you're smoking tomorrow. Okay, you're smoking tomorrow. Obviously, every person, maybe at the initial stage, they get that feeling or that inner conscience always have a voice. Inner conscience is your inner voice that always tells you don't go for smoking. This is not good for health. Imagine if your father comes to know, mother comes to know that you are smoking. Imagine what will happen to them or how they will feel. This is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, दिल और दिमाग के बीच में कुछ चल रहा है. Your brain is saying something else, or your heart is saying something else. But here, if you have self-control, or somebody else will come to you and they will give a justification. I कुछ like that. Nothing happened. Okay, my grandfather used to smoke for 70 years, but nothing happened. He was even today he is very young. Okay, I कुछ नहीं like that person used to smoke for this much years, but he is completely fit. Or look at that actor. That actor, he's a chain smoker, but look at his six pack. Okay, this is something you are controlled by from outside. But self-control, your unconscious, your conscience, your conscience says, okay, or your conscious behavior says that, or your inner voice says, no, this is something wrong, irrespective of who is smoking or whether it's a celebrity or it's somebody who I consider as a role model. But it's okay if somebody else is smoking, that is their choice. But my inner voice is saying smoking is injurious to health, so I'm not going to smoke. That's why even after giving a 70-80% of pictorial picture on cigarette packet which shows a cigarette causes cancer, people never look at this. They always go for a smoking pipe because they are controlled from outside. Okay, if self-control is there, the moment their brain, their eyes or their brain perceives this image, there should be a high chance that people, at least somebody who is a new entrant into this particular activity, they should be stopped. But this is not happening. Why? Because most of us are controlled from outside rather than self-control. We believe in advertisement. Okay, whenever some actor smokes or an advertisement somebody smokes, we feel as it's a manly way. Okay, or taking a liquor, or jumping betting a PDR. So this is this is something which is we are controlled outside. So whatever we purchase, whatever activity we are doing, that is dependent on outside. What is a trend? Okay, what is that bandwagon effect? Okay, this somebody else is doing, I will also do. I will also do it. Bandwagon effect is if somebody else is doing, I will also do this. Okay, just do it. Why? Because we are controlled from outside. Advertisement, media, social media, having a lot of impact on us. So if we follow these principles, or if we wholly believe on these principles, nothing can affect your nation. Even like there are many youngsters who are committing suicide after playing some games. Okay, there was a blue whale game. If you heard about this blue whale game, okay, there are so many things. Okay, recently there was a news in the paper saying that young guy, 15, 16 year old, who committed suicide because his parents were not allowing him to play game. Okay, his family members were not allowing him to play game. This is what? This is outside control, peer pressure. All my friends are playing, but I'm not playing. Why can't I play? Why can't I play? Okay, so this is self control rather than outside control. So this is what we have to teach ourselves. This is what we have to teach our loved ones. That have self control rather than control by outside. Okay, somebody showing the outside advertisement, look at it as advertisement for awareness, but don't get into that impression. If you apply some kind of what deodorant, all the girls will run behind you. This is, we know this is not real, and this is not going to happen, and this should not happen actually. Okay, this is something called post-truth. Post-truth in the sense, now world is or consensus can be generated based on emotions rather than on logic and facts. Okay, even in the politics, you can see most of people are calling for local growth, or they are calling for a son of soil. Okay, let's make America great again. So this is what, this is something without any logic. They are just making a claims, or claiming particular religion. Okay, for all the things, or for claiming China for Corona. Maybe it's real or not real. That doesn't affect to control this virus. There is no point in discussing or wasting a time to think whether it's created by China or not. We have enough time to do it after we overcome this particular virus. But there is something called a post, just to get a sympathy from a people. What they are doing, they are using emotions. Okay, movie, in advertisement, you will see everywhere, everywhere, people are using emotions rather than logic. They never explain you about the car when they are selling a car. They will always, explain some emotional things like the moment you buy a car, okay, your family will come together, or you will, you have the best time with your wife. So it's they will never explain any feature about the car. So this is what this is supposed to. That means you are getting control from outside. There is no inner motivation or there is no inner thought process to decide whether a particular activity which you are going this really has a worth or not. Okay, this is what we mean by self-control. So from tomorrow, whatever activity you do, you apply your logic and you have the self-control rather than somebody else is saying and coming and saying, "I कुछ नहीं होता cigarette से कुछ नहीं होता," or "अरे it's not a liquor, it's just a अंगूर की मिट्टी," or something like that. So people will give you lot of reason because they are taking liquor and they want others to take liquor. Otherwise, people will blame me. So better to make entire society, alcoholic so that it will become ethics or moral will become ethics. Today I feel that liquor is good, so tomorrow I will push everyone to take a liquor so that tomorrow liquor moral will become ethics. But apply your own logic. See, I'm not saying particular thing is right or wrong. This is up to you. But what I feel, something which has no logic or something which we are doing just for the sake of peer pressure or by looking at some advertisement, obviously that is not going to be a good activity for person. Okay. Concept of duties rather than concept of rights. Okay. So there are two things. Western countries which believe strongly in rights. Okay. This is my right. I must get this right. So obviously we here we also have a fundamental right. But before claiming our rights or हमारा हक क्या है वो जानने से पहले what we do we follow our duties. Okay. Paying taxes is my duty. Taking care of nature is my duty. Okay, respecting women is my duty. Respecting elders is my duty. Okay, taking care of family is my duty. Okay, helping a society is my duty. Whenever my nation calls me for a duty, I'm supposed to be present there. Okay, this is my duty. So we give more focus on duty. This is ideal ways. This was there in India once upon a time. Maybe now it has diluted to some extent. The people are giving more focus on concepts of right rather than concept of duty. So I'm taking one political example with your due permission because I there is no intention to hurt anybody. This is just to make things simple. So I don't have any intention or I'm not supporting any particular. When somebody is talking about a freedom of speech, this is the right. Okay, this is the right. They can talk about anything. They can talk about anything. Okay, but when you are saying something or when you are claiming this right, you should also remember that what you are saying or whatever you are doing, that is having impact on society. Okay, suppose you are giving or you are using a language which is a vulgar language. Maybe your thoughts are very good. Maybe your thoughts are very good, or whatever you are saying is it's completely your freedom to use this language. But if you are using a vulgar language or if you are using some kind of vulgar comments and just to make people laugh, this is not a part of your duty because youngsters are watching this. The adolescents are watching this. So once they watch this, this becomes their regular language. Okay, or they will also start believing that this is completely normal. This is completely normal. Or when actor or somebody smokes in movies, they should also remember. Or somebody is giving a fairness ad. Okay, some famous actress when working for a fairness ad, people will start believing that okay, being a fair is important. Okay, or being a dark is some kind of you know uh, a bad activity. Or you should not look of dark. You should always look of fair. So this is what. This is where you will always say, "This is my right." I can work in any advertisement. But ma'am or sir, when you are working in any advertisement, just imagine that impact. Your duty. You are a celebrity. You are a role model for many people. So when you do something, others are also going to do. So whenever you do anything, just remember, okay, there are lots of innocent people are watching this. The moment they watch this thing, after any tension, like most of the movies you see, there is some kind of tension with the police officer or some villain, and suddenly they start smoking. So intentionally, unintentionally, we also adopt that behavior, or youngster also adopt that behavior, saying that okay, whenever you have a tension, you should smoke or you should drink. This is ideal way to get away with the tension, but this is not a right way. So whenever you understand your rights, you should also understand your duty. Rights can be enjoyed only and only when everybody follows their duty. Okay, if you start focusing only on duty rights, then obviously that right cannot persist for long. Okay, while we are driving, in our driving license, it is always mentioned driving is not a right. Okay, driving is not right, but it's a duty. Like you have to drive safely. It's a privilege. It's a privilege that you have got a chance to drive. So behave in a proper way. Don't use it as a right. Okay, मेरी मर्जी चाहे जैसा रहो. It's not that you cannot harm others, because of your driving. That is your duty. Yielding rather than dominating. Okay, so our target is to give a more efficiency, more productivity rather than taking a credit for it. Yielding rather than dominating. So okay, so be a part of team, and try to give the most of what you can give to your team rather than always trying to become a that without yielding anything. Okay, so try to yield more rather than being a leader. Concern for this age, world, and improvement. So, whatever activity you are doing, you have to look for sustainable development. Okay, sustainable development is you cannot consume our resources which are there for future generations. Okay, so you should, whatever activity you are doing, you should consider about your generation, your future generation. Okay, don't look at only for yourself. Okay, we have enough oil for our generation, that's it. I don't have to work for other, like, next generation. They will look for their own. This is not something which Indian believes gives up to us. What we believe in thinking about the next generation too. Respect for and search for all the truth, whatever we resource. Okay, so when we go for a meditation or when we talk about the spiritual world, what is spiritual world? Spiritual world is about finding the truth. Okay, maybe that can be any question. Who I am? You are trying to find a reality. Who I am? Like, why I have so much ego? Why I always say मैं ऐसा हूँ मैं वैसा हूँ तू मुझे जानता नहीं है क्या? Okay, you don't know me. So why do you use so many things? Who are you? So this is a search for truth. So what is the difference between religion and spirituality? Religion is something which always gives you some statement and they will say you consider this as a truth. Consider this as a truth. So whatever, like, why we say religion without science is blind? Because when you have a religion, obviously try to find a logic behind it. Okay, try to find a logic behind it. Like social distancing. Now we are having a social distancing term during COVID, but social distancing is always there. But we have to find a logic behind social distancing. When somebody dies or somebody born in a family, normally that family is supposed to follow for social distance for that next few days, 10, 15 days. Why this social distancing? It is not to condemn those people or it is to keep their people away from society. It is actually a privilege. That family has given a privilege to be in your own sorrow or your happiness. Okay. In fact, you are given a freedom from religious activities. Like you don't have to even go for a prayer, or you don't have to go for a temple. You don't have to meet anybody. Be in your family. Be with your people. Okay. Be in that family. Share your happiness. Share your sorrows. Okay. That is how you can build your relationship, or you can overcome whatever sorrow you have recent past. So this is something. If you understand the reality behind that, you will be more logical, reasonable. Like once P.R. Ambedkar was going for a job, first job, and his family member, there was some kind of system that if you use bread or roti, and you throw that roti, saying that this will I don't know what to call this. Okay, as a part of your religious activity, you throw that roti. Okay, so he said we have to understand why this particular ethos or that why this particular tradition was there. That time maybe we had a surplus food. Now we don't have a surplus food. That time maybe there were so many, like it was full of village. So maybe there were so many animals which are surrounding you. That time you used to throw that bread and some or other animal used to eat this. But now in a city Mumbai, we don't have any animal. So even if you throw that particular bread, it is going to be into garbage. It is not going to be in anybody's stomach. So this system we have to think logically why we are following particular tradition. Okay. So this Indian religion is never about. It is never about considering something as objective. You always try to find. You always try to find a reality or a truth behind a particular activity. But going ahead, we have moved to another way, and we have utilized religion for our own benefit. Okay, so this is some of the Indian ethos, and like maybe most of you thinking, okay, why we are going for a philosophical discussion. It's not about a philosophical discussion. It is about developing your personality. Whenever you take any decision, being a manager of manager of organization or being an employee or employer, you should use certain principles such that you should consider your every employee as a human being, as a creation of a God. So you should include them into decision making. You should give them a respect. You should pay them a regular salary. Okay, or you should treat your subordinate as a human being. Okay, not as a machine. We never say human resource. We say human assets. Why? What is different between human resource and human asset? The moment you start calling people as a resource is supposed to be used to make profit. Okay, or you supposed to use it for your own benefit. But when it talks about human asset, you consider them as your asset and you preserve your assets. You take care that your assets are into best of the best. So this is what we have done in Indian ethos, and we follow Indian ethos when we live in our regular life or when they are in our employment. So this is particular subject which I will say it's one of the important subjects to develop your personality. Okay, definitely it will help you in some kind of case studies which you will get in interview. Okay, you have to give a justification why you do this particular activity. Okay, like once upon there was an interview and I got a case study. It was with the Marico parachute. So I got a case study and they said, okay, let's suppose you are a manager and you have a five subordinates and one subordinate, Mr. A, is a very good performer. Okay, he's a very good performer. He achieves most of the sales target which team supposed to achieve. Maybe another four people are not that capable to achieve sales target, but Mr. A, fulfills even their target. He completes his target as well as their target, so that as a team you achieve a complete target. But there is only one issue with that person A. That person is having some kind of or getting some kind of complaint from a woman harassment. Okay, about the woman harassment from so many women. We have received a complaint about woman harassment. But if you take that complaints or if you try to investigate, maybe there is a chance that we have to fire this person. And if you fire that person, there is a high chance that we will lose a revenue or we will lose a sales targets. So that's why we are not going for any kind of investigation. If you are an officer there, what action you will take? Obviously, you have to find a person, and neither you have to fire that person, nor you have to continue this human harassment problems. Okay, so what you have to do? Obviously, go for investigation. Go for investigation, or that is unbiased investigation. Okay, neither you take a side of woman nor you take a side of a male. So go for unbiased investigation. If that person finds guilty, irrespective of whatever laws we are having, you cannot promote woman harassment. Okay, or you cannot neglect a case of human harassment. This is something core to any organization. Okay, irrespective of whatever profit and loss we are making. If you are making a profit and loss, that should not be dependent on one person. Okay, that should be depend on your product or group activity. If something is happening because of one person, obviously the demand of that one person will increase in the future. So obviously you have to cut that rate then and there. Okay. So if you are getting success, that should be based on your basics. It should not be based on some activities or some actions of individual, because that is not sustainable. So this is how you have to give a justification, or this justification can come only when you have. It is, let's see, everyone knows that okay, so we have to take a good harassment case seriously, and we should fire that person. This can be answered, but a justification what you will give, for your statement or for your opinion, that is more important. If you give more supporting logics for your particular decision, that makes your decision more productive or more convincing. That's why we are having Indian ethos on the subject. So today we have seen just introduction about Indian ethos. Next class onwards we will start actually with this Indian ethos. This was the first chapter, first unit about introduction about Indian ethos. From next chapter onwards